YouTube to Geezer's Got Game. Today we're going to talk about what it's like to live with the 2016 third generation Tacoma. I've owned this TRD off-road edition since December 2015 and have driven it 70,000 miles, about 35% of which were pulling trailers of different shapes and sizes. You're going to get more than just the opinion of someone who's used it for a week or so. While I'm no literary expert, I have owned 70 cars in the last 39 years, and here are the list of the ones that are four-wheel drive. 81 Nissan, four-wheel drive. 83 Nissan, four-wheel drive. 86 Bronco 2 XLT. 1965 Jeep CJ something. 1985 Toyota Land Cruiser, great rig. 1998 Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road. 1992 Land Cruiser. 1999 Jeep Wrangler Sport. 2005 Tacoma, had it for 10 years. 2004 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. 2014 Toyota Tundra. 2003 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. 2013 Land Cruiser. And of course, the topic of our discussion today, 2016 Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road. Break this up into several different areas. We'll start out with price, then maintenance, then problem areas I've experienced, and then comfort, and then fuel mileage, towing, ease of care, off-road, crawl control, snow and ice capabilities, the suspension, and we'll finish with what the Kelley Blue Book says it's worth after 4 years and 70,000 miles. I paid a little less than sticker price when it was new, but it was tough to find a great deal on them because they were in hot demand. I have another video devoted just to things that I added on and how useful they've been. This has leather seats on it, which I added aftermarket. From what I can see, one similarly equipped for 2020 would have a sticker price of about $46,000. Been relatively inexpensive. The purchase price included 25,000 miles of free maintenance. After that, I've done the oil changes myself and changed synthetic oil every 5,000 miles. It is one of the messiest rigs to change oil, at least the way I do it. Having a cartridge oil filter is a big part of that mess. There have been a lot of complaints about the automatic transmission. Most of them are related to shifting patterns, and in most cases this can be fixed with a reflash at the dealership. My pickup was an early model and it had shifting problems. Nothing severe, but it just seemed like it would lag when going up a hill and it wouldn't shift down to a lower gear soon enough. When I went in for an oil change early on, I talked to the dealership about it, and they said that they had no complaints about them at that time. I looked online and I saw that other people were suggesting getting a reflash, and so the next visit to the dealership for an oil change, I asked him, and sure enough he did that, and it made a difference. I've had no reoccurring transmission problems since that reflash. The only other problem I've had with this truck was early on, the trip odometer started resetting itself to 0 every once in a while when the engine was shut off. The dealer's answer to that was to replace the whole gauge cluster. There have been no reoccurring problems with that matter. Comfort. For me, at 5'11", with legs that go all the way to the ground, this pickup fits just right. We've taken numerous road trips, including 6,000-mile trip to Alaska and back, and to Oklahoma and back to Oregon, Texas and back, some of them pulling trailers. And the comfort level's been great. I wouldn't put adults in the back seat for a very long time unless they're people you really don't enjoy or they have short legs. Actual gas mileage, the trip to Alaska and back, we averaged 21.5, including everything. If you're driving exclusively in town and you have stoplights and stop signs and the occasional coffee stand that you're going to wait in line for, it'll get about 13.5 to 15 miles per gallon. If you're pulling a boat at 65 miles per hour, It's about 3,500 pounds. You can count on 13 miles per gallon. Speaking of towing, you'll see some photos of some of the things I've been towing with this. I found that anything over 2,000 pounds tends to really cause the transmission to work a lot. So to stop it from shifting constantly, I will put it in 4th gear. It'll shift down to 3rd gear, going highway speeds if the hill is steep enough, but it'll keep the load going at highway speeds up most hills. I'm one of those vehicle owners who hates little parking lot dings and scratches that come from gravel and whatnot. If you're like me, you'll be happy to know that this pickup is one of the easiest to take care of. I have mud flaps and running boards and a hood protector that help, but even with those things, the other vehicles I've had have had a lot more rock damage by this time. Just a side note, all Toyota manufacturers are not created equal. I saw one of these pickups identical to mine, same color, on a showroom floor in Alaska. It was manufactured in Texas, and the paint had a lot more orange peel on it. Having a locking rear differential is definitely a plus. Having crawl control is one step better than that. I can think of at least 2 instances where crawl control saved me because the locking diff wasn't doing enough. One was driving on 13 inches of snow this winter, coming up a steep hill that was on pavement, and I went up the hill as far as I could and couldn't get any further, put it in crawl control, and it just started going. The second is backing up a muddy hill with a trailer. I couldn't take a run at it because of the trailer, and so I was relying on traction, and after I gave out with the differential lock, I stuck it in crawl control and it finished the job. The Tacoma's size and weight definitely give it an advantage on trails over large trucks. The stock Toyota suspension gives you a sporty ride, and it does fine unless you put any weight in the back. Then it tends to bottom out over bumps. Having a 250-pound canopy on the back and knowing I was planning to pull trailers, I knew I needed to do something about that, so I put some Firestone air springs on the back. Kelley Blue Book puts the current value of the pickup at $29,000, considering that it'd be a private party sale. That's figuring that it's in excellent condition, which not many rigs actually are. Some vehicles just aren't the same as what the book says. An example of that is the 2005 Tacoma that I showed earlier in the photo. I went to sell that, and the book said it was worth about $20,000 after 10 years of use. The second day I had it up for sale, a dealer actually drove 80 miles and bought it from me, and I saw it advertised on his lot a month later at $22,500. The stock Goodyear tires with Kevlar definitely did a good job, but I only got 29,000 miles. These Goodrich KO2s already have over 40,000 miles and still have a lot of tread left on them, and they definitely are a better off-road tire. Let's talk do-overs. If I were able to do this again, I would have ordered the better level stereo. I did get navigation, but the stereo is a little weak. The other thing that I might have done differently is to get the NERF bars instead of the running boards. The running boards are aluminum and they're sprayed with that no-slip bed liner, and they really grip well. They're plenty wide. In fact, they're a little too wide. They rub the back of your legs when you're stepping out of the rig. We had the pleasure of owning a new 2014 Tundra with the 1794 edition prior to this Tacoma. The idea was that we'd use it for a daily driver and also to pull a heavy trailer that we have for ATVs and side-by-sides. As a daily driver, it didn't really fit our needs. It used quite a bit of fuel, and it was not that much fun to put in a parking lot. There's no way the Tacoma would match it in towing. Our solution was to sell the Tundra and the Jeep Rubicon, find a used towing rig, and get a new Tacoma. Having owned the second generation Tacoma for 10 years helps with this comparison. They both seem quite similar in size. The second generation Tacoma that I owned for 10 years was very reliable. It had a 6-speed manual transmission instead of an automatic, so I can't really compare that. It did seem to have more low-end torque, but I don't think it could match this one in upper-end torque. The third generation interior is definitely a step up. There's quite a bit more optional equipment available, like sunroof and navigation. If you're going to trade cars every 3 years or 5 years, then you might consider something different than the Toyota. If you don't like to gamble, the Tacoma is the good pickup for you.